Today, we're talking to a guy who went from being a kid of a single mom of 7 to be able to hit $130,000 months.
I come from a single mom of 7, and growing up, we were very, very, very poor. By the time I was 10 years old, I moved 8 times. We just kept getting kicked out of all these places. Monetary wise, I was around 70K. Record months, I've done 129, I've done 139, consistently kept it over 100K.
And a big part that hit home for me is when he talked about how anyone can see success at this, no matter your background.
Nothing in my life goes right. Everything gets fucked up. And if someone like me who was born to lose found a way to win, I just don't see how it's not possible for anyone that's listening to this. Bet on themselves.
All that coming up in today's episode.
Before we really dive into the business stuff, I'm always just curious. I guess number one, what is the offer? What's the price point? Just who do you specifically help?
So we coach a woman, usually age 35 to let's say 55, fat loss focused, anywhere from about 10 to 40 pounds. Our unique mechanism is more so focusing on the metabolism side of things, so metabolic health. And our method is called the metabolic reset method. So we can charge anywhere from, it ranges because we'd like to meet people where they're at. But let's say 4 months is 4K, and then we have a year package that's around 8K, and then we kind of play in between those numbers too. And if I have to, if someone's a little bit on the fence, we will do an 8-week or a 12-week. I don't love it, but we have a really good back-end offer, which gets about 50% of them. So it's okay. We still make money in the back end.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a thing that a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, I'm only going to stay one price point. If they don't want it, then, go away. But I think there is, especially in the space, I think there's a lot of, you just got to kind of get creative with people, because it's the difference between like bringing on a client and helping that person and not, right? Like pushing them away. So I guess I'm curious, how did you get into that specific niche? Because I mean, you're helping women, but you're not a woman. So I'm just curious, like how you found that niche specifically, how you saw success with that, just kind of the beginning of that process.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll make that long story short, because we get that all the time. Like, hey, you're a man. Like, how can you help me as a woman going through menopause and all these things, right?
Yeah.
So I come from a single mom of 7, and growing up, we were very, very, very poor. By the time I was, I think, 10 years old, I moved 8 times. We just kept getting kicked out of all these places. Women's domestic abuse shelters, like all these kinds of craziness growing up. So that story there, it's all obviously a lot longer than that, but that's the gist of it. That story there is what we use. And I just started telling the story. I didn't know it was going to start making me money. I just started telling it. And now it's kind of cool to tell that, that trauma story. Everyone's kind of doing it now. And I was kind of doing it, 7 years ago, when it was kind of like taboo to talk about these kind of things, especially as a man, right? So that was the story that kind of helped me resonate with my audience, because no, I can't really say I know how it feels to be a woman or give birth or go through postpartum hormonal issues, right? I can't say that, but I can say that, I have a close connection with women due to what I saw growing up. So that story is how I got into, or why my niche is women, because I just resonate with them. Yeah. And how I became a coach is in 2016, I was in a pretty traumatic motorcycle accident where I almost lost my life. My left leg is totally reconstructed out of metal, got 6 screws, and rod, brother, is like the size of my arm that just keeps my leg together, snapped my femur in 3 spots.
Oh, man.
Yeah, stupid kid. And then I had to teach myself how to walk because I didn't have insurance on the bike. So I couldn't afford physio or rehab. Kept going to the gym. It was an LA Fitness back in the day. I bugged the manager every single day. I remember his name was Adam, big steroid gorilla looking guy. And I said, hey man, I really want a job. I really want a job every single day. He finally gave in. He said, bro, if you get your certification, come back and talk to me. Got it 2 months later, got the job, and history ever since.
Nice. So, I appreciate making the long story short, but I do think like you said, it's something nowadays where, people don't care as much about like, oh, I made a bunch of money and it was this easiest thing ever. It's like people, look, what makes you relatable is being able to go into those things and talk about them, because like that puts you on the same level as somebody else, right? Like you didn't just blow up out of nowhere, that type of thing. So I guess one thing on that, so you get into that motorcycle accident, and what kind of propelled you from that, and then still having the motivation to then like do what you needed to do to get your certification? Because I think so there's 2 types of people, right? One that kind of just like becomes a shell, and then there's the other person that like actually takes the action. So what made you be on the upper side of that, of actually taking action to make it happen?
Yeah, like I think you're so right, bro. Like there's always two different kinds of people that face the same story. I'm not the only person that's gone through that similar background, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people that use that and blame the world, blame their parents, blame their circumstance. They never act out of a place of vision. They're always stuck right now, right? They're just surviving, I guess you can call it. And they think that the world owes them something, right? Hey, and we're seeing it right now in the States, right? How there's like a division between, I won't get too deep into it, but there's a group of people that think, oh, the world owes us something. We deserve to get, checks coming in the mail, blah, blah. They don't want to work for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those people like that, I think that is the majority of people. Not going to be rude, but that's the majority of people. There's other people that use that story as like a chip on the shoulder. And I'll tell you something that's like, I told like two people this, but I'll say it just because we're here.
Yeah.
I used to go to the bank, right? And I had this like, I wouldn't call it a fear, but I would call it like shame and embarrassment. And I'd give him my bank card, pull out my money, and I'm just like, can I swear in here or not?
Yeah, you're good.
I said, this motherfucker is probably looking at me and just thinking, you are so broke. You're looking at my account.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
probably not, or she's not. But every time I went to the fucking bank, man, I'm like, they're probably thinking this guy is so broke. What are you pulling out? Your $10, your $20? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So I just had a lot of embarrassment and shame growing up. I used to feel like I was just a loser, always feeling like not good enough, I guess, kind of thing.
Mm.
And that was the drive that I wanted to have, or that built me into the man that I am today, where I don't want to feel it like that. And then my kids, you're a father of 4. I'm like, I never want my kid to feel like that.
Mm.
Right. Like even back in school, I was that kid that, remember, Christmas comes around and you're in school and you're given the cans for the food drive. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fuck, mom's giving me these cans to bring to the food drive, and I'm going to go pick it up next week at the food bank. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, Mom, like, what are we doing here? Right. We're going to get this food next week.
Yeah.
Bringing the food.
Yeah.
So a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame growing up. And I think that was the trip. I still have it, but sometimes you get comfortable, you start making some money, which is not good. But that's, to answer your question, that's the drive that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's huge. And, even you telling that story, it's like, I even get chills just thinking about like the difference, where I was before and after. Like this was when I had my own, agency in like 2018, 2019. And, everything, when it rains, it pours. That's what, the saying is. And, I was like just starting my business. And then like my wife the next week figured out we were pregnant. And then, I got let go from my job, and it was just like a terrible thing. Like in that moment, I was like, holy shit. Like, but I think, and I'm sure you relate with this, is like having kids is just, it's a completely different game of like, it's just a switch that goes off in your head. It's like, there is no choice. Like, there's no, like, am I going to figure this out? It's like, I'm going to figure this out, or I'm going to fucking die trying. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I resonate with that a lot. And just as, even as I have more kids, it's like, oh shit. It's like, it gets, the bar keeps getting raised. Okay, cool.
It's
so
It's also what pisses me off when I talk to these parents and they're saying, yeah, I'll die for my kid. I'll do anything for my kid. Oh, have you ever invested in coaching? No, I haven't. Okay, why is that? Oh, I'm on a budget. Oh, but you just went on a $3,000 vacation every single year for the past 10 years. It's the same thing with like business consultants, right? It's like you're saying you'll do anything to be successful and do for your kids, but you're not doing the one thing that will actually benefit your family because of your own selfish doubt and fear. It's very selfish, in my opinion. No matter what you're going through, if you don't do something that you know is in the best interest of your family and your kids, it's selfish. But nobody wants to say that, right?
Yeah, dude, that's huge. We can go on a full on tangent of that, but we'll cut it. We'll cut it a little short for. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so back to your story. So you get in the accident, you get certification, you start working with that person. What's kind of like that next step with the LA Fitness and growing from there?
Oh, well, that was the next step, building my own company. I worked there for I think a year and a half, and they're paying me $7 per client. $7, bro. It's like Chinese labor, bro. So every 30 minutes, $7. I eventually started coaching people at like the beat down, broken down gym behind, like 2-second walk.
Yeah.
And they caught me doing it. Someone snitched on me, one of the managers. And they gave me an ultimatum, and I was crushing. I was one of the best trainers there. Here's the ultimatum. So either you can go and run one of these LA Fitnesses. We'll pay $80K a year, right? Plus the bonuses and the commissions, but 80K guaranteed, or you'll have to leave. I went to my my partner at the time, and I gave her that ultimatum. This is also why it's really important, and you have a great wife, to have a really good woman to use as like counsel sometimes, right? And she's like, what are you thinking? Like, she's like, why would you even take that 80K when you know you can do much better on your own? Right. So she saw the potential in me before I even saw it myself. So I left the next day, put my 2 weeks in, started training people behind the gym, texted every single person on my phone, built up my roster with 5 clients, got up to, I think 60 or 70 in person, hired 2 in-person trainers to coach the clients. And then boom, March 2020. We all know that date. Everything shut down.
Classic.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the word. We all know the C word.
Yeah,
we don't want to get this
video demonetized.
Exactly. So that's what happened. And then I struggled for a few months there. Yeah, a few months trying to do things on my own. I actually almost left the fitness industry. And I was trying to find jobs on Kijiji, landscaping, and no one wanted to hire me. I don't know why. Well, probably I do know why, but no one wanted to hire me. So then I had this call with the mother of my kid's father. And I was telling him, hey man, I'm thinking about getting a job on Kijiji just to make things work, or drive for Uber or whatever. And he said, ONeil, this is the time when people need you the most. The world is in the most uncertain, scariest times that we've ever lived, right? Because we all thought we were gonna die, right? C word. He's like, what are you doing? Get your ass back to work, build this business up, and do what you gotta do. And then boom, that was the motivation I needed. But I was still not making any money. Like I was $300, $200. I was just like scavenging. And then I worked with my first mentor. I won't say the name. He was actually a really great mentor. And actually, the funny thing is, you guys trained him. You guys coached him.
That's how
he's
it
one
goes.
of the top. He's one of the top coaches in the fitness industry. I would say probably one of the best. And then eventually I went over to you guys after that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the process in between there, because it's interesting. The other, we had another fitness on, Matt, last week, and he was talking about the same thing. It's like, 2020, everything, shut down. For you, hearing that motivation from from the one guy, what other pieces in there were like giving you motivation to hit that like do it on your own? Because any other little things that you can think in there that like helped you, I guess, keep the motivation
to leave the LA and not take that offer? And
just really, because I think that's like it's a big thing that a lot of people are in, where they have the opportunity to stay in like their, like the golden handcuffs that people call it, right? But it's like they know they're going to be there for a long time. So the deciding factor that allowed you to leave that behind and then do your own thing.
I gotta go back. That was a long time ago now. I think I have a problem with authority, if I'm being really honest with you. Like I'm one of those, I think all entrepreneurs, we have a hard time, and this is also sometimes those people are not coachable, but we have a hard time being told what to do and living in like what society calls normal, right? Like to be an entrepreneur, this. You built a very successful YouTube business. Is like you gotta be a little fucked up, right? you got to kind of go against the grain, go against all your beliefs that you were raised with. I wasn't really raised with much beliefs, right? I kind of raised myself, 7 kids there, right? I was kind of doing my own thing. So all the beliefs that I had, I think I've learned some from my mom, but a lot of them were kind of just me getting in a lot of trouble and making a lot of mistakes, but I was a risk taker. I've always been a risk taker. So I broke like 10 bones in my body growing up. So I think like if you can take the risk and be willing to be able to have that vision of what is possible, I think that's what made me take the jump and go for it. 80K, even that was back then, back in 2019, 80K back then was, it's not fucking bad. It's garbage now. Pre C word, it was not bad. But I'm like, I could probably do a little bit better than this, right? I could probably do a little bit better than this, and then kind of work for myself. I think that was at the freedom. Choosing the freedom.
Cool. So what's I mean, the one thing I would say too is it's also having like that foresight that, like you said, like you believing yourself enough or having people in your corner that understand and know that like you are worth more potential. I think just people don't have that, you know what I mean? Whether it's a spouse or, a friend or whatever, is like, everyone says the saying of like, you are the 5 people that you hang around. It's like, if you're people that like 5 people around you, it could have been the other thing where like you had someone in your corner that was like, don't be stupid, don't take risk and take the job. You know what I mean? But it's like you having those right people in your corner, it all obviously helps. So, okay. So you start doing the people, you're training people in the, in the other gym. What's, or I'm sorry, was that when you started your own offer? Or like what transitioned into you helping, I guess, women online?
Well, yeah, when I was online, okay. So when you go to like a gym, you don't get to pick your niche. They give you the clients, and a
Mhm.
lot of those clients don't want to be there. So it really sucks the soul out of you, personal
Mhm.
training. Then why did I pick that niche when I first started? I think the niche kind of picked me almost, man. Like I think
Mhm.
like more women wanted to work with me than men. And then I kind of just started to enjoy it more. Then I just, you don't want to create content for two different types of people. It's very hard. And then when someone comes to, No Limits Training, that's our company, it's like, okay, is this for me or is this for my husband? You don't want them to think that because then they're
Mhm.
gone. As soon as they have that thought, they're out of here, right? So I was creating content and people used to make fun of me at the gym, right? They're like, what are you doing, man? I'm like filming my clients working out. They're like, you're
Yeah.
crazy. What's wrong with you? But I think that's what helped because I had a lot of female clients and I just enjoyed working with them. So that's how I kind of pivoted just to female only.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, that understanding, I think, is a lot of people where they don't even start is understanding that when you first start, because there's that mindset of like, well, before I start, I need to find my niche. But like, you're not going to find your, like, a lot of times the first niche that you go into, number one, it's too specific and you're not getting in front of people, or it's too broad to where, like you said, you can't appeal to everybody. So it's interesting that you say like your niche found you, and then you just kind of went into that pocket of like what people were already asking for. So that's huge. Okay, so I think that just brings us to, you jump into STA. What was like your experience like first coming in? What, if you can remember, because I know you've been in for a good amount of time, but like what was like the first like learning lessons or first things that you were able to take away to help with the initial growth?
Um, it's got to be the sales training, man. Like just learning how to be a real salesperson. And it kind of goes against, again, talking about beliefs, everything that you think about a salesperson. This STA really changed that for me. I think it changes a lot of people where you kind of think that even a lot of fitness coaches, I don't want to sell, I don't want to be sleazy, I don't want to blah, 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 right? And I think that's why they fail. But this sales training is actually based a lot on psychology. And it's also based on Cole learning from the top mentors in the game, which are, now people that he's coached. Like I've seen that he's coached like Tony Robbins teams and things like that, right? So he's got a lot of like the actual mindset and the belief and the vision and the storytelling, I think is probably the most powerful thing that I
Mm,
loved about his sales training because it just feels like authentic. And I think that that's what transformed the game for me is I actually looked forward to selling. It was actually exciting. It became almost like a sport, right? How
yeah.
good can I get this sport? It's like a little bit of competition with myself. And yeah, just being able to serve people at the highest level, but doing it in a place where you don't feel like, I don't want to use the word sleazy, but I guess that's the only word that comes to mind. You feel good about it, right? Like he made me feel compelled that if I don't enroll this person who's a good fit, obviously integrity, if I don't enroll this person into my program, I'm doing them a disservice,
Mm,
right? Because then I'm becoming one of their people in their life that's letting them settle on average. And I don't believe in that. Right. So sales, as we know, it's persuasion. I think that's what transformed the game for me. I went through this training. I kid you not, bro, 100 fucking times. Look, Cole's like in my second brain sometimes. I think we all say that. Like Cole's
yeah.
like that thought in the back of our head. That's how much I've gone through the training. And 3 years later, I still go through it because training is not something you did. It's something you do, right? You do it every single day, repetition, just like shooting that ball in the court.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because I think I told you we had an event over the weekend, and it was our RCA, our RCA event. So it was just salespeople that were there. And Cole, I think, yeah, Cole asked the question. He's like, so how many of you have gone through like the pitch codex training? And like, obviously everyone there has the training, they raise their hand. He's like, how many of you have gone through it over 10 times? And I think it was like me and like two of our other sales guys that raised our hand. And everyone else just, didn't. And it's nothing against them. But I think back to what you said, it's like when you're trying to learn a skill and you're trying to get better, it's like we always make the joke of like, I've fallen asleep to Cole's voice, just sales training, objection handling, just in the ear, just getting those little pieces from it. So I know you kind of touched on it, but I do want to see if you have any other advice for, let's say they are a fitness trainer and someone that is still in that like negative mindset of like, I don't want to feel salesy, like anything other that you would dive into to help them get over that belief or limiting belief?
Sales wise?
Yeah, sales wise.
Sales wise?
Well, sales wise, but also even like, you did kind of touch on it as well of, not wanting to, make the transition online or help other people outside of the niche. Maybe just like other limiting beliefs that a fitness coach would struggle with.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, man, and not just business, but in life, is every objection that you give to your friends, your family, your people that you talk to, your consultants, you're going to get from your friends, your family, and your clients. And I'll give you an example. If you ever use the word where it's like, I'm too busy to go through the training, or I can't dedicate 2 hours a day to leveling up my skill set, then you're going to fucking, especially fitness clients, it's really pisses me off. Then you're going to go to your client who's too busy because she has kids or because he's got a 12-hour construction job. And you're going to say, man, come on, man. Like, I know you can make the time somewhere. Right? I know you can make the time somewhere, bro. And then you're turning around, you're not doing the same thing. And I don't know if these people actually consider what you're being is like, and I think probably the worst thing in the world is a hypocrite. But you are manifesting the destruction of your marriage, your business, your life, your friendships by doing things like that, because you're actually lying to yourself and you're lying to others, actually, on top of that. So that the lack of congruency will not only destroy you in sales, you'll get, oh, let me go talk to my spouse. You're going to get that every single fucking call you get, right? Or I don't have the time. You're going to get that every single fucking call you get. But probably the stupidest one is people not being resourceful. That's the easiest one that you can come up with. Bro, I made my first investment in myself. I was dead broke. I had $2,000 left in my bank. We lost everything due to COVID. My wife owned a hair salon, shut down for months. We weren't making any money. I had $2,000 left in my bank account. The program was 14,000 US. I'm Canadian, so it was more like 18. I put myself in serious debt. I got resourceful, asked people for money, boom, 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 and I made it work. If I didn't do that, bro, I would not be here. I would not be talking to you. I would not have this fucking $1 million condo behind me. I would be broke as fuck, like I have been my whole life, and probably very miserable.
Yeah.
So you are the objection that you give to others, right? That's who you're going to become.
Yeah. I'll add one more thing to that too, because that during one of the presentations over the weekend, there was a quote, Emma, our head of recruiting, she had said, the quote was, "You can only lead other people at which you're able to lead yourself." And you kind of mentioned it, but just going one layer deeper is not only are you a hypocrite, right? And you're trying to lead people into something that you're not willing to do yourself, but the power behind being able to lead in that way is now, instead of at the end of the call accepting an objection like I need to think about or whatever, and the reason you accept that is because that's the way that you make decisions, right? But when you can get past that bottleneck, and let's say it is making time or whatever, and you do live in the way of like, okay, I'm gonna prioritize what I need to do and make that time. Now when you're on that sales call, you can say, hey, is it cool if I coach you through the way that I was able to get past this and the way that I'm able to do it? And you get to lead from your own personal experiences and help them get out of that decision-making mindset. Because if you're not the person, like you said, like you do these things for them, not to take their money, right? It's like, if you can lead them in the way that you can then break their decision-making process, that could be something, even that could help to change their life. And that's not going to 100% say like they're going to move forward, but you at least are now leading them versus trying to take from them, if that makes sense. So yeah, dude,
that's the
huge.
That you need in sales, conviction. You need the confidence. You can't have conviction if you're not doing it. Right? You can't speak from a place of authority if you can't do it, if you're not doing it. You're not a leader if you're not doing it first. Right? So conviction is everything. Because you could actually be like a pretty shitty closer, which I think most people are, no offense. Like there's not many top tier closers. When you come to Cole, you'll see some fucking savages, that's for sure. But when you can say that, like you said, Aaron, like I've been there, I've done that, and here's what I did, it shifts their perspective. It's like, fuck, you're right. You're a mom of 3 and you did it. Or you're a single dad, you did it. I can do it too. What am I thinking here? Transfer of belief, right? So yeah, good point.
Yeah, man, 100%. Okay, so you come into the program, you start learning some of the sales stuff. I guess maybe just a quick synopsis of like, where were you before? And we could talk revenue, we could talk, whatever before, and then, after STA, or within, the biggest wins that you've seen throughout the program.
Yeah, monetary wise, I was around 70K, let's say. This is a while ago. So yeah, so 70K. Record months, I've done 129, I've done 139, pretty much consistently kept it over 100K. So it's pretty massive jump in revenue. And in addition to that, like in addition to revenue, really building a team that I actually look forward to meeting with and not regretting. Like I love my team. And that's from the leadership training that I've been through multiple times inside of Cole's program. Just being able to, once again, lead with conviction, be the man that I need to be. Like, you know what I like about his program, like I was saying earlier with this psychology stuff, he also talks about just life, right? He talks about who you need to become in order to lead others. Because if you're at the club drinking every weekend, you can't expect, your admin not to be, or your coaches not to be, because again, that's being a hypocrite. So he covers a lot of different types of stuff that, I think is important, not just for business, but for life. And it's funny, like, I won't go too deep into it, but you'll see other people like all over fucking Instagram just saying the same thing that you see in Cole's program. Like, bro, I send it to you guys. I sent it to my coach. I found someone on Google. I forgot what I was typing. Literally copy and pasted Cole's program onto his website. But it's not the first person. I've seen it, and these are some top coaches. But anyway, off the tangent. So it's just like that's how valuable it is that your favorite coach learned from this program, right? So I just find it funny.
Yeah. I mean, we see, I won't go down the rabbit hole, but we talk a lot. Like we'll find ads or people's stuff. We'll throw it in our group channels and stuff. But I think that's a good, it's a good sign when everyone kind of rips your stuff, that you're doing something right, So, okay, you did touch on, because a lot of stuff we talked about so far has been like on leadership. So as you were like building out your team, let's say there's another fitness coach or business that's looking to also build out their team. I guess, how did you build out your team? Who were some of like the hires that you made early on? And then maybe just any leadership advice you would give them to also build a really strong team that, like you said, they're people that you want to actually come to work with.
Yeah. So my hiring process from 0 to 100 was basically, well, myself. I kind of did a little bit backwards. I did the coach first and then the admin. That's a personal choice. I think people should probably do the admin then the coach. I just kind of wanted fulfillment off my plate. So I did the coach first, then I did the admin. Sales is always last, right? But you can hire a setter pretty early, but you don't want to hire a closer too early. Because obviously that's going to dip into your profits. And if you're making that much right now, then it's not going to be healthy. But setter can definitely be an early hire. So coach, admin, I think I got the setter. And then from there, I got another coach, and then I just kind of build it up from there. And then we got a content creator that helps me do all my content. And again, speaking of content, a lot of my content ideas comes from learning the marketing in Cole's program. And I also learned what the difference of indirect versus direct offers are. I never knew what that was before. And the coaching programs, again, from really good coaches, they didn't teach that stuff. It was always direct, which actually burns your audience, which I learned the hard way. Right. I like to look at the audience as like a bank, right? You're building equity in your audience. And then you can withdraw it once you built enough up. And once you withdraw it, you got to build it back up, right? So it's kind of like indirect to direct and kind of playing around with that. So there's some really good things that I learned. And then I was actually able to take the trainings that I have in STA and give it to my staff. So I'm not always trading my time training these guys. Sure, you got to dedicate, whatever you want to dedicate per day, but you don't want to be on fucking meetings all day with your team. So I'll take this training. I'll say, hey, go watch this, or take this training, go watch this. All my team has gone through the training. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
So that's another bonus of having that kind of portal.
Yeah. What's just for people that are on here, can you explain the difference between direct and indirect? Because this, on that note, I was talking to Cole over the weekend, and Spencer, our CMO, just did a presentation a couple months ago, I think, on the very thing of like basically how to increase your TAM, total addressable market. So can you kind of explain the difference between direct and indirect?
Yeah, so I'll give you a fitness example, I guess. Like, we all do these, everyone has different names. We'll call it like the 5 guys post, right? Hey, I'm looking for 5 guys that want to get 6-pack shredded in the next 6 weeks without having to give up the beer and nachos, whatever. So I'd be like a direct offer because you're pretty much speaking like right to that person, and it's like buy my shit kind of thing. An indirect offer, which Max, I forgot his last name, Max Hammond.
Yeah, him.
Hammond, brilliant freaking copywriter. He's taught me so much since I've been working with him. Very, very brilliant guy. And he helped me be more of a storyteller, which can lead into a direct offer, or I guess it would be indirect, right? So that could be like, I can tell my personal story. I told you guys in the beginning of this podcast, like how, I was raised by a single mom. So I'm telling that story from the beginning. So, and actually, I think indirect these days is crushing way over direct offer. So I think people have been burnt out the last few years.
Sure.
So indirect is doing really well. I'm telling the story, and I'm plugging in like certain maybe beliefs and maybe objections without kind of saying it, right? But by telling my own personal story. And because I'm speaking to one avatar, she's reading it and she's like so bought into that story and that perspective shift and that belief breaking. And then at the end of that that post or that email, whatever you want to call it, Facebook group post, you can say something like, if this story resonates with you, then drop a comment or drop a comment inspirational, right? And then you can use that, go and two-step them. So everyone that says inspirational, you're hitting them up on their DMs, you're commenting on their stuff. It's doing two things. You're building up your engagement, which is really good, but you're also, being able to slide their DMs a little bit easier. So that's one example of indirect. I know there's a lot, but that's kind of what we do in our fitness offer, and it works very, very well. And that direct offer works pretty well too. But the directs, they're kind of burnt out a little bit because we've been using them so much.
Yeah. I think the other distinction between the two as well is, I think it's the way that we look at it is, if we're launching a new offer, like for example, we're about to launch like a new funnel, and we always just start with direct, because direct's just easier. Direct's easier to like get out there and validate. With the more indirect, is you have to create like unique mechanisms or your unique story, and it just naturally just takes longer. So for those of you who are listening, like definitely direct, like to, and also like validate your sales process, the offer itself, like if you're just getting started, and then start branching more into the indirect. I know a big portion of your business also has come from like organic content and just posting. So any recommendations or tips you give to people that, a health fitness coach that wants to get going with social media and actually like start converting people from that?
Yeah, going back to the indirect and non-direct posts, like if you're starting out, you shouldn't be really doing too much direct promotions because you haven't built the know, like, and trust factor with your audience. So you're going to burn them out pretty damn fast, and then people are just going to bounce off your page, and they're going to see all those offers on your page and not going to like it. So I think if you're anywhere, let's say definitely 0 to 10. 0 to 10, you want to just really build up that storytelling, that authority, the credibility, the value. Give them your best shit for free. That's what we did. We got up to 70K organically. Didn't spend a friggin' dime on ads or shout outs, anything, just by giving our best shit for free and a lot of storytelling. Let's say if you're past, I don't know, let's say 20K, then sure, you can spend a little bit on the ads, but you want to make sure you have something, like you were saying, some kind of proven content strategy, right? So what we're using right now, I don't know off the top of my head, but let's just say you want to have one authority building piece of content. So that can be, we call it talking heads. So I'll probably repurpose this one. And this is gonna be like a talking head where we're talking about the story, how, we built up NLT. We're just talking. Those are probably your lowest performing post, but the best to build authority. And I'd probably do those once or twice per week. Then you can use, I love this website. It's called Viral Finder. And you can basically hack your top competitors' reels or basically overall content. And then you can like play off their idea, never plagiarize, because you'll look like an idiot, but take their idea, take their concept and make it in your own voice. So we'll probably do 2 of those that are a little bit more viral. Okay, that's going to help you build your engagement up, get some followers in without having to boost anything. So that's at 4 posts now. We got 2 authority, 2 virals. What else are we doing right now? We'll do like some kind of transformation. We usually go, again, non-direct. We'll tell the lady's story, and then we'll say, like, if you want her free meal plan at the end of that, comment meals. That will blow the fuck up. Like, I think 2 weeks ago, we got 209 inbounds off a story post just by saying that.
Nice.
That was pretty crazy. But that's kind of like our strategy right now. And you got to find kind of what works for your account. But I think the best piece of content advice that I can give and that I'm seeing is actually becoming more normal now is just say what the fuck you feel, right? For a long time, I'll be really honest. I've actually never really said this out loud. For a long time, I think I've been trying to be someone that I'm not. And I'm not a passive person. And I think I've been trying to say, hey, it's okay that you're in this place. It's okay. It's not fucking okay. And I don't feel that it's okay. Because like we were talking about, Aaron, in the beginning, yeah, sure, you might have a bad injury, or you might have cancer, or you might have whatever. You might have fucking one arm and one leg, right? It's like, whatever. But the decisions are all up to you at the end of the day, no matter what you're going through. So you just have to talk from your heart, speak your truth. If you're someone that swears, then go ahead and swear. Don't be crazy about it, but go ahead and swear. It's okay now.
Yep.
I think it's kind of accepted now. But you don't want to hide behind a mask of someone that's not you, because it actually burns you out and it's not fulfilling. Even if you are loving what you're doing, creating content is a huge part of building a personal brand and building a business. And you don't want to be hiding behind a mask. But I think 2024, we're kind of seeing like the world even move away from cancer culture into being your authentic self. And people are loving that. I think we've been needing that for a long time. So people are loving it now. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. I think, especially we always see, I mean, you spend a lot of time on social. So I think when you are spending so much time on it, is you start to see like the trends that happen. So, that's one of them. And, the other one could be like, recently, like people just want more of that real and authentic content versus, really highly edited, highly like, transitions and captions and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, we're like you said, we now have permission to be, a little bit more open about things and honestly just say it how it is, because it's what needs to be said, backtracking a little bit, because I just want to get clarity on the, you're saying the types of content. So like the, the transformation one, the value post, viral post, are those that you're just doing organically? Like what's the schedule there? Or are those going out as ads?
We're actually not running any ads. We're just doing boosted posts. Shoutouts are really not working the way they used to. So we were talking about this off camera. They're not really, for us, they're not working the way that they used to. So we're actually putting that money in towards boosted, and we're getting followers at like $1.20, which is crushing.
Nice.
Think about a Facebook ad, right? Like for Facebook ads, you're paying anywhere from $10 to $30. So if you're B2B, probably even more. So we're getting our leads for under fucking $2, and the quality is incredible because we're picking the interest, and I'm getting realtors, I'm getting insurance agents, I'm getting these career-driven women. That's my
nice.
avatar. And it's almost like out of the leads that come in, like 70% are high quality. So that's the strategy right now that we're doing. So what was the other thing you said?
No. I was just trying to figure out if it was organic versus paid. So it sounds like it is organic, but you're putting spend behind it.
That's right. So nice. If we see a post performing well, we just throw money on it and start boosting it.
Yeah.
Carousels, I really like carousels because you can track it pretty easy. For like the cost per follower, which I like to track personally. Reels, sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes you can track it, sometimes you can't. We were talking about this. So yeah, like what's your thoughts on that, tracking like reels or boosting reels?
Yeah, so to be honest, we don't do a ton of like boosting the videos itself. It's actually something we're going to start testing here soon. I guess my thought process behind it is I don't want to boost reels. I just want them to go organically. But what we'll do is we'll take the reel that's performed. We'll not boost that one, but we'll upload it separately as like its own creative, like in the back end of ads. And then we'll switch out the CTA and we'll run it to a landing page. Just because times have changed, but I think 2 years ago when we were boosting the post, we were realizing that it was creating like the wrong audience on our page. And I think it was probably because we were probably using the wrong targeting or whatever. But that's usually what we do, is use it more like the reels and the views and the virality as like validation of an idea. Like you said, finding something that works and then, emulate it a little bit and then kind of run it like that. As its own ad. It's been working decently. But yeah, we're gonna start going pretty hard.
There's a million ways that you can do this. I was gonna say there's like a million ways that you can do this shit, right? So I think people get confused where one coach is saying this, one coach is saying that. What a lot of them are doing is just saying what's worked for them and their clients. So technically everything could work. You just need to know how to make it work. Okay. Yeah. So that's something really important. And you got to remember that a lot of the coaching programs, they're a little bit watered down by coaches who have not even done anything real in the space. or they got to a certain level, I'll talk about fitness coaches for a second. I think I can name 3 off the top of my head, and one of them works with you guys. Fitness coaches that did 7-figure companies before teaching it. Most of the fitness coaches, the big guys, they've only did, still pretty good, 50K a month, and then they pivoted because they couldn't get past that.
Yeah.
Right. So something.
Yeah, dude, trust me. I've gone on many a rant of that whole thing of, you learn something. I mean, what I've found even recently now is a lot of the like organic coaches like to teach like content is like they're like, oh, I built like my following to 500K, but it's like, well, yeah, you also started in 2020 when no one was doing it and you got kind of lucky. And then it's like they have another account that they can't grow for shit. So yeah, man, I've gone down that whole rabbit hole.
That's a good thing. Like, you were doing that. I saw you on Facebook growing an account. Like, you're like day 0.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Instagram or some kind of account.
It was
That's
IG.
a fucking smart thing to do. Yeah, like I've done it once. Watch me do it again. There's actually a fitness coach that he's called like Fat to Fit to Fat. I don't know. He's really popular.
Oh, nice.
He gained like a bunch of weight to show people that he could lose the weight again. And he got like 250 pounds and lost it all. That's cool. And what you did was cool too. Like, hey, I built an Instagram. Let me show you how to do it again from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? But nobody's doing that because it's fucking hard.
Well, it's hard. And the thing is they aren't confident enough that they can actually do it again because they know that they got lucky, Yeah, dude, I can go off on lots of tangents on that. But yeah, dude, I know we're coming up on time here. Last couple things is, so what would you say to someone that is on the fence of, we'll talk about your scenario specifically. What would you say to someone that's on the fence? Let's say they're a fitness coach that's watching this and they're like, I don't know if I should make the transition to online coaching. Like, I don't know if it's going to work for me. Anything that you would say to them?
Yeah, fucking stay broke, bro. Like, it's not for you. There's my advice. Like, you like where you're at, then fucking stay there. Like, everyone's looking for the inspirational fucking quote. It's like, just look around you, bro. Your girlfriend doesn't get what she wants. Your kids don't get what they want. You're living in a place that doesn't make you happy. You're overworked. You're stressed out. If that's not enough motivation and inspiration you need, then go get a fucking 9 to 5 and do that, because you're just not meant to cut it. And I don't mean to be rude, but look around you. That is your inspiration. Go look at your child, pick your child up and say, hey, I want to do better for you. Right? Like, you guys are all praying and you're meditating and you're, manifesting and you're writing on your fucking journals, but then you're not doing anything about it. And I'm really sick of it, to be honest with you guys. So I know everyone wanted like a little bit of an inspirational Grammy speech there. You're living your fucking Grammy speech when you look around, you're not happy with where you're at.
Yeah. 100%, man. Back to the whole thing of saying what needs to be said. There you go. Okay. So next step, what would you say to someone, let's say they're, an online business or someone that's listening to this and have listened basically to this whole hour, and they're on the fence of working with STA specifically. So there's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of sales trainers. Like, what would you say to that person? Be like, don't go with anyone else. Like, this is where you need to be.
Well, if you do the research, you'll most likely find that the coach that's in your DMs worked with Cole. So you're just going to get a watered down version of what Cole can teach originally. And I've spent well over, I'd say at this point, $200,000 on mentorship. And I work with the best coaches in the game. They've all worked with Cole. So it's really a personal choice. Maybe you like the other person's vibe better. Then sure, go for it. But you have to remember, do you want to learn from the best and get the original content and get the fucking savage killer closers and setters and people like yourself, Aaron, who are I would say the best in the game. I'm not just saying this because I wouldn't say it, but the best in the game. Then got to put your money where your mouth is. You're going to scale faster. You're going to get the original frameworks, not like they're twisted up and they're built a little bit differently. Because now you're kind of fucking with the formula. The formula is already done. Don't fuck with the formula. Go to where the source comes from, right? Just like journalism. When you're reading it from like 10 different email or newspapers, you're getting like all these distorted views of what actually happened. Go look at what's happening in the world right now. Everyone's saying a different thing of what we see with our eyes, right? But it's the same thing with coaching. Go to the original source of who fucking did this. Who's done multiple $1 million a month? Okay, that leads me to maybe one person, right? Maybe there's another one. I don't know. Fuck, maybe there is. But I'm going to go to the person who's been there and done that and built what I'm trying to build, not the person who hasn't. So Yeah.
Love it, man.
That's why I work with Cole.
Let's go. Yeah, dude, that we, I speak for everyone when I say we appreciate it. And that's one of the things that we've always wanted to do is, and what I commend a lot for Cole with, like, I've worked with a lot of coaches and I've talked to a lot of people, and he's one of the very few that, even in person, it's like, he is the exact same person on these trainings as he is in person. And I'm not just saying with that because I've worked with him for 5 years or 4 years, but yeah, man, it's much appreciated. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a really quick outro. But what I want you to think of is just one, like, just think of someone that might be listening to this. And I know we've covered a lot of like one-liners, we'll say, or like, reels that are really good advice. But I just wanted you to think of one more thing that you would leave people watching this episode with. So think about that while I do this outro super quickly. So those of you that are watching this episode, I mean, we've already made it probably an hour at this point of chatting. So you're at least somewhat interested of what we do at STA. So down in the description below, or on the show notes on the podcast apps, I'm going to leave a link that's going to allow you to check out a really quick training of how we do everything. And then also the opportunity to book a call with the team. Full transparency, these calls are very different than what you've probably done. Is we call them like your implementation call of like, we're going to sit there, one of our advisors, myself or someone on the team, is going to break down, okay, where are you currently? Where do you want to be? And then give you a game plan. So at the end of the call, you could work with us and we can talk about what that looks like, or you can take that exact plan and implement it yourself. So down in the description below, click that link, check out the video, book a call, and we'll see you over there. But yeah, ONeil, what you got for the beautiful people?
Yeah, I guess just like, man, like if I look at myself, because I can only speak on my own perspective, it's like I'm a welfare kid, right? Like people like me, they're not really supposed to be in these positions that I'm in today. I spent my 19th birthday in jail. I celebrated my birthday in jail because I did some really stupid shit at 18, spent a year in there. The youngest guy there with murderers and, people that you don't want to be around. And I've been through a lot in my life. And I always consider myself someone that was born to lose. That's kind of what I used to say to myself, man, I'm just fucking born. Nothing in my life goes right. Everything gets fucked up. And if someone like me who was born to lose found a way to win, I just don't see how it's not possible for anyone that's listening to this or anyone that's out there that's going to come across, STA or, bet on themselves. It's just not, it's like impossible to fail if you just fucking do it.
Dude. Love it, man. Well, there's a ton that we went over, so I think people are gonna have to definitely check out and reverse and watch it back. So dude, I appreciate your time for jumping on. We'll definitely have to jump on maybe in like 6 months or so and see where we are and any other learning lessons, because as we know, like the coaching space and marketing and advertising, that just changes so much. So I'm sure we'll both learn a ton in that amount of time and have you back on. So appreciate it, man. For those of you that again listening, we'll have links for ONeil stuff down in the description as well, so you can go check out his Instagram and all that kind of stuff to stay up to date there. And for those that are watching, thanks so much for hanging out. This is the Scaling Less Stupid podcast. If you have any questions, let us know. See you guys in the next episode. Talk soon. Peace.